Hey guys, this is Rene. Welcome back to another video on this channel. And today, this will be the first part of a small series where I write a smart money concept indicator. So as far as I understood this smart money concept works a lot with highs and lows, and then with break of structures, change of character, or I don't know if these are the names that smart money concept uses, or ICT, but in the end we just need highs and lows first. So in this specific video I will write an indicator together with you to identify all the highs and lows in the market, and it will look somehow like this, what you can see here on the screen right now. So you can see, like, in every time frame this indicator will just give us the highs and lows, and this will be a really easy and quick version of this indicator, which can then be refined later on and made a little bit more specific, more stable maybe. But yeah, you can see most of the highs and lows are drawn here in the chart. And this is a high, this is a low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, low, high, low, low, low. So you can see this is somehow working, and this is what we will do now. So let's jump right into the programming part. If you're in the MetaTrader 5 already, just go to Tools and MetaQuartz Language Editor to open the integrated development environment. Here we can then go in the navigator on the left side and click on indicators, or you can just click on new in the upper left side and select custom indicator here. Then you click on next, choose a name. We can go with Smart Money Concept YouTube. And then click on next, next, and finish. And this will create a brand new expert advisor for you. Then just follow the steps that I do here. We do not need the first few lines here, so we don't need the gray lines, and we don't need the first three properties. So I will simply erase them, and I will also delete all the other gray lines because they are just comments for the programmer and they do not really affect the program at all. Then personally, I like to rearrange my curly brackets like this, and now we only have three functions left. These two functions are part of pretty much any indicator, and there we have the onInit function. This is the one that is called whenever the program or the indicator is initialized in a new time frame or when it's activated for the first time. Then we have the onCalculate function. This one is called whenever the indicator is calculated or needs to be calculated. So pretty much if any of these things changes. So if there is a new high, a new low, a new tick in general, if there is a new candle. So every time something's happening in the chart, the onCalculate will automatically be fired. So this is where we'll put most of our source code. Also, before we start programming, if you like programming for the MetaTrader 5, you should definitely subscribe to this channel because I do a lot of stuff like this. Everything on the channel is for free, so subscribe so you do not miss out anything, and especially not the following parts of this series. So let's jump into programming. So now we talked about the two functions. What do we need for an indicator? Of course, we want to draw something. Like for this indicator, you see we have these dots for highs and lows. So how do we get this going? First of all, we will have to define some properties. And when you work with indicators, there are indicator specific properties. For example, we can define the amount of buffers that we have and also the amount of plots. So what does this mean? So buffers are two, of course, one for the highs and one for the lows. You can also see this in the data window here. We have two buffers. Also, we have two indicator plots because we want two of these buffers, like all of the buffers, obviously, because we only have two. We want two of them displayed in the chart. So this is why we need two buffers and two plots. Now, next we can define the buffers. So we go indicator label, and now you always, after the property name, you add a index of the buffer, and they start at 0. So with two buffers, we will have buffer index 0 and index 1. So we will have label high, for example, and indicator label 1 low. for the lows. And we do not only have the label, but we also want to define the color. Maybe the color for 0, like for the highs, can be blue, or let's make it green. And then we have a property where we can say indicator, and you can see, like, when you type indicator underscore, you will see all the suggestions here, so you can just pick whatever you need. And if you have any question, just go inside of this indicator label, for example, press F1 on your keyboard, and you will see all the explanations here for all the things that you can define like this. So we can define indicator style, for example, and we want style solid. I think we don't really need this because we will also have indicator type, and this is important because we want to draw arrows. And yeah, these points are actually also arrows. So we will get there in a second. Then let's copy these lines and paste them for the lows. The lows should be red, and the rest is pretty much the same. Do not forget to exchange the index, has to be 1 here. So how do we get the actual data that we will now analyze using this indicator to draw something? We will first of all need 2 arrays for the buffers. So we will get an array for the highs and an array for the lows. And you can just define it like this on a global scale. Just create a double variable, name them whatever you like, and do not forget these curly brackets, because these curly brackets mean that it is an array. What is an array? An array means pretty much just that you cannot store just one value in this variable like you would with a normal variable. Like this would be a normal double variable. You can store one value inside of this double value, for example, this value. But with an array, you can store multiple values, and this is important because we have a potential value for every single bar in the chart. So you need an array for this. And this is how you declare an array. You just choose these squared brackets. So we will need these 2 arrays. But the program still does not know that these arrays will hold the values for the buffers. So we will have to map this first. And we can do so by saying set index buffer. This is a function that is predefined in the MQL5 framework, and you can use it in indicators. So now this function has several parameters. First of all, the buffer number. Buffer number is again index 0, for example, for our highs. Then we can specify the array. This will be, of course, our highs array. And then we can say whatever this index should be used for. Yeah, the default value is data, I think, and we will just go with data here. Then we can copy this line, use index 1 for the lows, and the rest is pretty much the same. Also, what I want to do is, since these arrays by default are, I think you can read it in the documentation here. If you read the note, we will have to use array set as series to make these set as series, to make these arrays organized as series. What does this mean? Wait, let me finish this quick. As series, it means that like the indexing for the highs and lows array is now like the series in the charts, which means that the current bar has index 0, and this bar, for example, has index 119, this bar has 270. So setting an array as series pretty much just means that you start counting the indices, I don't know, of the array starting at the very last bar in the chart at the right side. If you wouldn't do this, it would start at the very left bar, at the very left side, so at the very first bar. And this is a little bit, I mean, you can still use it if it's not as series organized, but it's a little bit more complex to think, at least for me. So what else do we want to do? We want to, that's one thing that we can do, set a indicator set integer. We can say the indicator digits to the amount of digits for a current chart symbol. This is of course optional, you don't have to do this. And then we want to do some more stuff. Like for example, we want to say plot index set double, and this is for the plots now, so we can define how these plots should look like. And the plot is pretty much you can see it as the thing that is drawn pretty much. So everything that is visible. And here we can, for example, say we want to we could change the arrow and stuff, but what we really want to do is we want to say the empty value should be we have to choose, first of all, we have to choose the index. So 0 will be our first index. Then we want to change the empty value. And here we want to choose empty value, which is a constant in MQL5 programming. So you can read it here. It will hold the value of double max, but this will be our empty value for the bars that do not have a high or low. So you can see most of these bars actually do not have a high or low. So we have to specify a empty value so our chart is not messed up. And then we do the same for index 1. Then also, maybe we can do the rest later on. So if we compile this, you can see there's a problem. Oh, actually I messed it up. Here indexing starts at 1 and not at 0. But you cannot really mess it up since you get a compiler error if you try to compile. So if you write all this code, click on compile here, it will turn your text file to a executable. But we can already find it now in the MetaTrader 5. If you go to your navigator in the MetaTrader 5, go to indicators, you should find the Smart Money Concept YouTube program here, and you can activate it on a chart actually. If you just drag it on any chart, you can see the colors, like the label, the color, the width, and the style. They're predefined because we did this here with these properties. So the colors are predefined and stuff, but we don't want to change this. So we just click on OK. So now the program is actually running on the chart, but it doesn't do a shit. So this is what we want to fix next. So now we have to do the calculation for our program. And this is a really simple indicator. So this will be really easy. So what we want to do here is, first of all, I want to also get the array set. I want to get the high array as series and the low array. What are these arrays? These arrays are the ones that are here, part of the onCalculate function as a parameter. So when the onCalculate function is called, again, it's called automatically by the MetaTrader 5, and it will trigger the onCalculate function for every indicator on this chart. And it will provide this data. So we will get the high and low array, for example. So we get every single high and every single low in the chart where the indicator is running. And by default, they are structured like this. So index 1 is index 0 is at the very left side of the chart. So I set them as series again. So index 0, is now this bar. And this is 1, 2, 3. So this is what setting as series means. So now, since we set this as series, we have to make sure that we do not calculate the values multiple times. So what we want to do next is we want to say we want to have a limit which is rates total minus previous calculated. And if you have a look at rates total and previous calculated, it's again, these are part of the onCalculate function. So we get these values for free, if you want to say so, with every single call of the onCalculate function. And rates total always holds the total amount of bars in a chart. So this might be 100,000, for example. I don't know how many charts there are in the chart. And previous calculated will hold the previous return value of the onCalculate function. And as you can see here, once the function is finished, it will return rates total. So, for example, if this onCalculate function is called and rates total holds the value of 100,000, if it's called for the very first time, this is 0. Then 100,000 is returned after the function is finished or at the end of the function. And with the next function call, both of these values are 100,000 because this was returned with the previous function call. And then only if there's a new bar in the chart, this will increase by 1, and then previous calculated will be one value or one step below this, and then it's updated since this is returned again. So this is how you can manage. Later on we will use a for loop, and we will use this limit to not calculate everything multiple times. Also, what I want to do is I want to say limit is math minimum of rates total of limit and rates total minus. Oh, and now actually we want to have a input parameter, which we will create up here. So go input int depth, and for example say 20. So this will be the definition for our highs and lows. So at the left side and the right side of a high, there should be at least 20 bars that are below this value. So this is our input. So we can now use this input and say rates total minus depth multiplied with 2 minus 1. Yeah, I think this should be correct. So yeah, this will make sure that we will not address any index in the high and low array later on that is not available. And now we can set up our for loop. So for int I is equal to limit, I is greater than 0, I minus minus. This is our loop that we will use to loop through all the bars. So we will go with I initialized as limit. So now it's at the very left, or it's a very big number pretty much. And since we set all of our arrays as series, it means that we are starting now at the left side of the chart. Then we will do everything as long as I is greater than 0, and after each iteration of the loop, I is subtracted by 1. So I will not explain the loop in more detail. You will find some tutorials on this YouTube channel where I explained it in detail, so you can search for this. Or also, if you want everything as a structured course in a structured way, check out the link in the video description and you will find the MetaTrader 5 Masterclass, which is the best way to learn MTraders5 programming quickly that you can find. And it will boost your trading journey like hell. So just have a look and yeah, you will enjoy the course for sure. So what we want to do in this loop, first of all, we want to go at our highs. This is our highs double array. Do not mix up this highs array and this high array. They are two completely different arrays. They do not have to do a thing with each other. This is the high array, which is a parameter here of the onCalculate function. This is the highs array, which is a double global variable, which we will also use to as a index buffer because we mapped it here. So in our highs array at index I, we want to say this should be empty value. This is important to just do not have any values inside of this array that you do not want. And then what is next is we want to check if this I index is a high. So what we want to do here is we want to check if I plus depth. So we will go, like I is just the index of a bar. Like when we loop through the bars, every one of these bars will be I at some point. And now we want to check if I plus depth, so I plus depth, so like plus 20 for example, then we will get this bar and we will want to check if this bar is then a high. So what we want to do with this bar is we want to check if this is the array maximum of the high array now. Make sure to not write highs here because it will mess it up. And then we will start at depth plus, wait, no, I have to look like I wrote the code before. We will have to start at I and then we will go with depth plus, wait, no, we go with I plus depth. No, we will just go with depth multiplied with 2. Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is still confusing me a bit, but let me explain this again. So again, for every, like we will start at the very left side of the chart, right? So every one of these bars will be processed by the loop. So let's say, for example, this might be, or let's choose an easier example. This, like when we loop through all the bars and we are at this point, for example, or let's say I is 1 right now. So we loop through all the bars and now I is 1. So let's check exactly what the program is doing. So we have I plus depth. So I plus 20 in this case. So I is 1. So we will go to 20 bars back. We'll go to this bar here. So we will have a look at this bar. So right now we are analyzing this bar here. Or this one, I think it was. And what we want to do next is we want to check if this specific bar is the array maximum, so the biggest value in a specified array, in our highest array, which will hold all the high values. And we want to start at index I. Again, this is index I, which is 1. And then we want to analyze from this index back depth multiplied with 2. So we will go here, and then we go, this is depth multiplied with 1, and then we will go all the way to here. So this is pretty much the block that we are analyzing. And in this block, how can I add a rectangle here? Shapes, rectangle. So we want to go 40 bars like this. So in these 40 bars here, we are checking if the bar I plus 20, this one that I marked here, if this is the array maximum of all these highs. And in this case, it's not. So it's not a high. But if this would be a high, then our if statement here would be true, right? So we know then that in our highest array at depth, at I plus depth, we can now set this to the value of high at I plus depth. And that's the whole magic. So it is really easy as this. So if we compile this, we should now see our program, which is still active on this chart, it should give us the highs. And yeah, I mean, you cannot really see it, but it is printing the highs. So let's maybe change the properties here so we can actually see the color. So let's say color on white, and you can see there are indeed these small dots. If you want to have a little space between the highs and the dots, this is what we can do here in the onInit. We can say plot index set integer 0, plot, and then go with shift, I think, and then we go with 10. And for index 1, we'll go also with 10. Actually, for index 0, we have to use minus 10. And this will, whoa, this was the wrong shift value, I think. Plot, wait, we have to use arrow shift, sorry. Plot arrow shift. And now it should be all fine. Yeah, so you can see now there's a small gap between these dots and the highs. And now all we have to do is we have to copy this block here and do the exact same thing, of course, for the cells, for the lows. So we have to go with array minimum now, and then we just go with the low array here. And the rest is pretty much the same, but we just want to store the value in the lows array, and we will of course store the low. And that's it. It's that easy. So this oh, okay, I messed it up. Wait, let me check the code again. Okay, I messed it up here. This has to be array minimum. And now we should be good to go. Yes, all the lows are displayed in the chart by these beautiful little dots. Isn't this great? So this is what I want to show you in this video. And in the next video, maybe what I thought about is what would be possible. For example, in these periods here. I think, like, if I understand these smart money concept stuff and everything correctly, we wouldn't really want all of these highs, right? Because there are no real lows in between. So what we could change for the program is that if we have a high here, a low here, that we only want to have the highest high that is following this low. For example, this would be something that could be modified in the program. And also, like in some next steps, you could modify the code so that it will find trends and then mark break of structures and changes of characters in the chart directly with some horizontal lines maybe. So this is stuff that could be possible in the future. And in the end, of course, you can build an expert advisor on top of this. So there's a lot of stuff to come. So if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to do so. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Maybe I can show you the code again so you can copy it. And I will not paste it in the comments because I want you to copy it so you will learn something. yeah, this is the first part of the code, defining all the properties, having this input variable. Actually, the input variable, I didn't really explain this, but you can change it. If you go to the indicator settings, you can change this to 10, for example, and it will show you a lot more highs and lows. And you can, of course, also change this to, I don't know, 30, so it will show a lot less highs and lows. So this is how you can work with this depth input. And yeah, so then we have these two global variables, the arrays that we use to store the buffer data into them. Then in the onInit, we do all the mapping kind of stuff and define the look of our plots. And then we have the onCalculate function, which is essentially just this for loop where we make sure that we check for highs and lows. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a great time. Good trades.